Dude, I don't know. I had stopped and I don't know if I hit record for the last section that we talked about. I'm not joking.
And where did we stop?
I don't know. I got to go listen to the files once I download them. But I think we lost the stuff about intellectualism and the Kneipekultur. So most people, if they spend a longer time in Germany, will be surprised that Germans, obviously there's always an exception that proves the rule, but almost everybody stops at the red stop sign. Like the little guy that says stop, you stop. And if it's green, you go, and the cars respect it, the people respect it. So you can be in the middle of the night walking home and the red guy stands there and basically you stop even if there's no car in sight.
Yeah. That's something which amazed me, all the time. And, I'm still amazed by the thing because even I'm not trying to cross the red lights, when there are cars on the street and everything. And even our parents, when we were kids, okay, just use the street only when there is a sign, the green lights.
Yeah.
But also, but I would cross the street if there are no cars on the street at all. I would just cross the street because I don't see any point to
And I will say,
waste time. And in Germany, what I remember, and it was more in former Western Germany than in Eastern Germany. But when I went to this Mensa, and you remember, it was a tiny, not really a wide street, not that many traffic close to the university. And I was surprised, and I felt weird because there were no cars, and I didn't even look at the lights. I wasn't just I just crossed the street, and then I realized that I was the only one. I looked around and.
Yeah, so sometimes you can actually have, I know it'd be hard for some people to know, realize here, or there, I think, but you can sometimes have 20 Germans waiting for a green light across a crossing sign when there's no cars coming, and they're all just patiently waiting.
They're all just patiently waiting.
And I was looking, because they used to, sometimes they have even a sign over the Ampel, the street light, and it says, I looked it up, it's nur bei Grün den Kindern ein Vorbild. It's basically only walk when it's green as a role model for the children, And I do know, as I was in Germany for a while, I became more and more accustomed to that culture. And there were some times and I'd be fuck it, I'll cross whenever. And then sometimes I'd be there and then there'd be a mom with their two kids across the street. And I'd think, you know what? There's no cars, but they kind of got to me, I'd be I'm going to wait for green. I don't want to be a bad example.
And especially at the Mensa, whatever crossroads,
Yeah, because it was a small, little tiny street.
Yeah, it was a tiny street.
And no cars ever came. I mean, once every 20 minutes or something.
But dude, every time I broke the rule, and there was other person walking with me because I wouldn't do it, at the end of my stay there, I just became accustomed to it when there were more people. Dude, there were always,
You'd always drag some people down with you.
I would identify that the other person were foreigner because they were either from Spain or Latin America or whatever, Romania, because I could hear them talking, because they were foreigners. So only the foreigners just were crossing the street. It reminded me this movie. It's called, in our translation, it's called Rabbi, Priest, and the Beautiful Blonde Girl. But in the American original is entitled, I guess, Keeping the Faith. And I guess that in this movie, there is a scene in New York, there is a dude and, no cars on the street. And this priest or rabbi says, just be free, just cross the fucking street, There are no cars,
that's
coming
funny.
here. And it always reminded me this movie that I wanted to give the Germans this freedom. Just, guys, rules are important, but just why waste your time here?
It was funny. even my sister, when she came to visit once, we were walking back, and this is when I had been there a few times, and she had her, I was carrying some of her luggage, and she was pulling another little like tote bag, and we were going to cross like Bonner-Talvig. It's kind of large street, And,
yeah, I know the street.
And it was late. We had gone to the airport. I picked her up from the airport, and we were walking back, and it turned red, and I just stopped, just out of habit, and she just like stops in the middle of the street, turns around, is like, "What are you doing?" And I was just like, "Oh, sorry, I'm just so used to stopping." But for her, it was like, "Oh, there's no cars coming." She doesn't even register that it's red. Just like turned around in the street, was like, "Hey," and I was like, "Oh, I'm just so used to the German, habitus."